Hello and welcome. My name is Amanda and this is my channel, Her Pacific Northwest Washington Life. And today we are kicking off the week 40 reading vlog with a rather rude awakening. My neighbor knows that I enjoy Harry Potter quite a bit, and we chat about it pretty often, like send each other pictures of cool things we've seen. And this morning, when he was leaving for work, he thought it would be funny to put up a cutout of Dobby on my window facing in so that when I opened my blinds, I would probably get a little scared. And it happened for sure. And the funny thing is, I was awake this morning working on my computer doing stuff for my part-time job, and I heard what sounded like in the wintertime when you have the icicle lights and it's windy and they bang against the windows. That's what it sounded like. And I had put lights on my front porch, just purple lights, string lights, nothing fancy. So nothing over a window. And I was like, if those were falling, they wouldn't be making that sound. So I didn't know what it was. And I'm a bit of a scaredy cat. So there was no way when it was still dark I was opening my blinds just in case there was like a zombie or an alien or something outside my window. So I just let it be, and then made some tea and went and opened the blinds in the rest of the house when I saw it was getting a little lighter, and had a bit of a scare when I opened my blinds in my office. I might have yelled Jesus and thrown my phone. Not at the window, just at my desk, out of my hand, just a jerk reaction sort of thing. So at least he confessed to it when I confronted him. But what he doesn't know is that the neighborhood prank war has officially started. So I'm going to have to come up with a clever way to get him back. I might have to enlist his wife's help. So that was a bit of fun. But just to quickly chat about what this week is looking like. So as you know, if you've been following along on my weekly vlogs, you know that the month of September I was participating in 2 month-long readathons, as well as a reading challenge that started September 1st and goes through to November 30th. So this is the last half week, last couple of days of those 2 September readathons, because Wednesday is the last day of the month, so Thursday starts October. So I've got just a couple books that carried over from last week into this week. I've got one Kindle book, one physical book, and one audio book. So just really quickly to go over what everything's looking like. I'm sorry if you're sick of this at this point, but for anyone who may not be up to date, I just want to let you know. So the Roll the Dice readathon was originally supposed to be the last full week of August. I decided to make that a month-long readathon, and it's simple. It says it in the name. You roll a dice. I have a 20-sided magic dice that I've been using. There are 12 prompts that the creator gave us at the start of this readathon. So when you roll the dice, whatever number you land on, that's the prompt you read. I wasn't doing any double ups. I figured that if I read all 12 prompts, I would go back, and then if I had any double rolls or rolls of the same number, I would just see if I could find another book for that same prompt. I finished 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of the 12 prompts, and I'm working on number 9 right now. It's going to be the last book that I read for the Roll the Dice readathon, and that is The Wicked Deep by Shea Ernshaw. So for purple on the cover, you know what? I will recap everything I read for the month-long readathons when the month ends. So Wicked Deep for me is a book that a friend loves. This, the Creating and Co book club, which is run by Paige. She has a channel called Paige Nicole. She's the one who created the Roll the Dice readathon. We do 6 readathons a year, so we do one every other month. And I think it was 2 years ago for the October Read in Peace readathon. The group book was The Wicked Deep by Shea Ernshaw. I didn't read it then. I think I picked it up after the fact. I'm pretty sure from Book Depository, not book Outlet, because it's got a black marking on it. I didn't pick it up then because I try really hard to read the books off my shelves first, and then was perusing Book Depository a couple months later or a year later, whatever, and found it for a really decent price, so I decided to pick it up. And this follows it's kind of a witch story. So about 2 centuries ago, there were these three sisters that were sentenced to death for witchery in a small town in Oregon. The town in Oregon's made up. It's called Sparrow. It's not a town that actually exists, but it's somewhere along the coast of Oregon. So in the Pacific Northwest, which is where I'm from. I'm from Washington, though. And each summer, the sisters return and they inhabit the bodies of three troubled girls so that they can seek their revenge. And they lure boys into Sparrow's Harbor and pull them under and drown them, essentially. So I am only 72 pages in, and I'm liking it a lot so far. We're following Penny, who lives on an island out in the harbor. Her family owns the island. There's a lighthouse on it and stuff. And Penny's father disappeared, I think, 3 years ago. And her mom has never recovered from that. They don't know if he's alive or dead. They just know that he disappeared in the middle of the night one night. And then this boy comes into town named Bo, who is, it sounds like he's running from something. It doesn't say what, but he just basically took the bus and got off at the town on the last bus stop. So we'll see what happens. I hope nothing happens to Bo or Penny. I'm enjoying this a lot so far. It's very atmospheric. It takes place at the end of, I think, June 1st is when the sisters come for 3 weeks. So it is a summary book, but it also feels very fallish, like especially if you look at the cover. So that's one book I'm currently reading in between my buddy read. The other readathon I'm doing is the Horcruxathon, which was created in the Harry Potter and the Order of the Planners, Flourish, and Blots Facebook group. And this has a prompt for each of the 7 Horcruxes plus a bonus for Professor Quirrell. I have 2 prompts left that I'm not going to finish, so I'm done with that readathon. I'll tell you the prompts and the books I read here now then. So the first one is Tom Riddle's Diary, and that is to read a bookish book. I read Becoming Mrs. Lewis by Patty Callahan. Marvolo Gaunt's Ring is a book with a home or a dwelling on the cover. I read The Color Purple by Alice Walker. Salazar Slytherin's Locket is a book that features a body of water. I read Blood of Victory by Alan First. I did not do Helga Hufflepuff's Cup, which is a book that features a heist. Rowena Ravenclaw's Diadem is a book that has castle or royalty, and I did The Sky Weaver by Kristen Sigarelli. Then Nagini is the group read for the month, and that's Serpent and Dove, which I'm also not reading. Harry Potter is a book with an adventure, and I read The Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan, and then the bonus for Professor Quirrell is a book featuring or set outdoors, and I read The Beekeeper's Promise by Fiona Valpy. So I'm done with that readathon, even though we've got a couple more days left. I don't want to start another series, and I'm not interested in reading the group read, so that's why. So other than that, I have the 3-month-long reading challenge, and I just knocked over my speaker, sorry if that was loud. I chose to do the 24 square board versus the 15 square board because this does take place over 3 months. If you break that down, that's 8 books a month, and I have read 8 books so far this month. Again, I'll recap all the prompts and the books that I've read so far once September 30th hits, but this is a challenge created by Tia over at Tia and All the Books, and she's got a couple other co-hosts for this readathon. The Wicked Deep is a standalone for me, which works for that board. And then on my Kindle, I am reading The Strong Man and the Mermaid by Kathleen Shoup, which is the second book in the Denora Chronicles series. These are... they're not even companion books. They're not, they don't follow one right after the other. The Strong Man and the Mermaid actually takes place in the 1910s, and After the Fog, which is the first book, takes place in the late 1940s and early 1950s. So These are just stories that take place in the town of Donora, Pennsylvania. I am buddy reading this with my friend Rainey over at the channel Rainy Day Reads, and it's really great because Rainey has grown up and lived in the Pittsburgh area. So the slang and stuff that's used in this is actually still used in the Pittsburgh area today. And she's been feeding me tidbits and bits of information that I wouldn't have known had I not been buddy reading with like a local to the area. So this has been going really well. I think I'm like 37% of the way through. So hopefully finishing up that by the end of the month. We'll see though. And then my audiobook that I'm listening to is The Cider House Rules by John Irving. I don't have The Strong Man and the Mermaid on the Fall Into Reading Challenge, but I do have The Cider House Rules on there, and it is, oh, if I can find it quickly, it's a contemporary, which it's a fiction book. I figure it's contemporary. It's not like it's like the literary definition of a contemporary and not like what people see as contemporaries nowadays. But this is a book that takes place in rural Maine, first half of the 20th century. Novel tells the story of Dr. Wilbur Larch, saint and obstetrician, founder and director of the orphanage in the town of St. Clouds. He's an ether addict and abortionist. It's also the story of Dr. Larch's favorite orphan, Homer Wells, who was never adopted. I watched the movie a long time ago and decided I wanted to read the book so that I could rewatch the movie because Skylar has never seen the movie. And I remember really enjoying it when I was younger. So we'll see how this goes. I have been struggling to pick this book up physically. Like, it's kind of chunky. It's just not, like, I want to read it, but it's not a book that's really calling to me. So I finally got the audiobook for it. I'm listening to it through Audible, and I think there's only one narration for it, and I don't know if it's the narration or if it's the recording, but I really don't like it. So that's why it's taken me so long to pick this book up. I think it's been on my TBRs since June, so I'm finally getting around to it because I thought it was kind of a good summertimey early fall read. So that's what I'm listening to on audiobook right now. I'm through the first chapter, and I think the chapters are pretty long. I don't think there's a whole lot of them. So we'll see how this goes, and if I still like it, or if I even like it in book format. I might only like it in movie format. We'll see. But that is what I'm reading right now. And that's long enough of an update. So as the week progresses and I read more things, I will definitely keep you posted. And I promised at the end of last week's vlog I would show you the decorations I put up for fall yesterday. So here in a little bit I will go around the house and show you those as well. I did not do what I promised on Monday and show you my decorations. So I'm going to go ahead and flip the camera around now and show you what the house looks like. All right, so we've got 3 shelves by our pellet stove. So the first shelf here has Snake Plant. That's a painting that my paternal grandfather did a couple years ago. I think he watched some Bob Ross videos and painted off of that. We've also got the skull that Skylar has had for ages and ages. It's kind of cool. I'm not really a skull person, but it's got like all kinds of stuff on it. And then I got that boo sign from Walmart, and probably those 2 pumpkins from Walmart as well. I don't remember 100%. And then over here we've got just a taller pumpkin. I've got some fake flowers. I really don't do the whole fake flower thing except for holiday decoration, just because I like to add in a lot of color. I would much rather just use real flowers for the rest of the year. But you've got some leaves and this purpley pink flower. I actually bought those to make a kind of like a vest pin for a Mad Hatter costume that I did, and then I had leftovers. And then all 3 of those pumpkins are from Joann's. These ones are velvet and came in a set with orange ones that you'll see in a little bit. And then there's nothing really on this wall. This was a painting done by Skylar's mom, and then when Skylar went to Utah, Colorado, and on his little drive in June, he picked up this panther from his parents that he's always loved. And then I've got this gnome that you can put different hats on and things like that. So he's got his pumpkin hat on. Doggies are waiting to be let in. And then over by our movies, it's kind of a little messy. Top row there is all the movies we either haven't watched or want to watch again. And then our movies are doubled up. It's ridiculous. I got that pumpkin, I think, from an aunt that was getting rid of it at a garage sale, so I just took it. And this is another painting that was done by Sky's mom. These are not Halloween decorations, but these are pictures that my best friend and I took at the Titanic Belfast. It's not a museum, it's not, I don't really know what it's called, but we just got some funny pictures done. And then we are walking towards the front door. I've got these leaf throw blankets that I like to pull out for fall. So next we have the piano, and that's all stuff that I need to either take to the Goodwill, or I might do what's it called, ThredUp, that's what it is, and put those in for credit. But this is what the piano looks like. I really enjoy being able to decorate the top of it. The books and the paper flowers are all, well, the paper flowers are going to be in my bouquet next year when we have our big wedding, and then the books are going to be decorations for the tables and stuff like that. So right now they're just living on the piano, but we've got, I got the leaf thing, boa, it kind of looks like a boa to me. I got that from Joann's, and then those glittery pumpkins are also from Joann's. And then it's probably going to be bright when I swing you towards the window, so we'll be quick. But that leaf boa is also from Joann's. And then we come to the bookshelves. So up there is just a thankful pumpkin that I painted orange and a little bit brown. I've got these fairy lights that I've always got up, and then I've got some like potion bottles from Geek Gear that I just leave up. So we've got, which one is that? Wolfsbane, Amortentia. We've got more of the velvet pumpkins. There's the orange ones there. I brought down the mini Skelegro bottle, and there's also a cauldron, a little mini cauldron there. And then we've got a Nargles bottle. And then we also have this kind of book stack thing that I thought was pretty cool. So I'm reading or planning to read a lot of books in this section over the next 3 months, so I figured I'd fill that spot with that there. And then we've got a spider venom potion bottle. So that's pretty much it. So those are my decorations for this year. Actually, I guess I can show you the front porch really quickly. Well, not the front porch. I don't really need to take you outside. On the door, I've got this welcome pumpkin, and then a welcome doormat there. And then I also put purple lights on the porch. I don't need to lock that again. So that's pretty much everything for right now. I do want to maybe get some skeletons, because I have a bench on the front porch that I was thinking it'd be nice to put like a lady and a man skeleton on, and maybe get a hay bale or something like that and make the porch really spooky, because we've got a cover on it right now, and I've never really been able to do that. So I thought that would be kind of fun, but I'm not 100% sure if I want to put out the money for that. And also then storing those items. I mean, the hay bale would just go to compost, but storing 2 human-sized skeletons would, I think Skylar would kick me out of the garage if I did that, because I'm already taking up too much space from him. But those are just some ideas that I might want to do. We'll see though. Other than that, reading has been going okay. I was debating whether or not I was going to DNF the Cider House Rules, but I'm not. I know life is too short to read books that you're not interested in, that you don't really like, but I have a really hard time DNFing. I think I've only ever really like DNF'd 2 books in my adult reading time. So I think I'm going to power through this, because if I listen to it on 2 times speed, I've got less than 9 hours left, which sounds like a lot, but I can probably have that done by Friday, and then move on from it. I remember enjoying the movie. I remember there was like an apple farm, an apple tree farm, and they made cider and stuff, and I think that's the thing that I really remember the most about it. But I don't really like the subject of the story, because it does center around abortion, and I have strong feelings about that we don't need to get into here. But I just don't really like the content being pro-choice all that much. So I'm gonna keep listening to it just to see what the rest of it's like, but there's a good chance that I'm probably going to unhaul this book when I'm done with it. Other than that, I only read The Wicked Deep Monday night, and I read a couple chapters of The Strong Man and the Mermaid last night. So today's the end of the month. I am going to have 3 books that I won't have finished by tonight, which is totally fine. I'll just take them into next month. It's not like I have like a deadline of when I need to read these books, but that means The Wicked Deep won't count for my Roll the Dice readathon, which is fine. So I think tomorrow I'll give you a recap of what my 2 September month-long readathons were like, and what the month of October is looking like going forward. So I'm going to finish up. I've got just a couple minutes left of work, and then need to do some more work for Sky's mom, and then get some studying in. So that's what my evening's looking like, and if anything interesting happens, I will definitely check in with you. Probably tomorrow, maybe Friday, who knows. It's October 1st, which means the 2 month-long readathons I was participating in throughout the entire month of September are over, and I just wanted to give a quick run through of which prompts I completed and which ones I had left, and like what books I read for them, in case you haven't been keeping up with all of my weekly vlogs. So the first one was the Roll the Dice readathon, which I explained at the beginning of this video was originally a week-long readathon for the last full week of August that Paige said we could kind of have free reign with and play with as we wanted. So I decided to make it a whole month-long readathon where I would roll a dice. There are 12 prompts, and whatever number that landed on, excluding 13 through 20, I would pick up the book that I had set for that prompt. So the prompts I got through were, number 1, Purple Cover, and I read The Color Purple by Alice Walker. 2 was a female author, and I read Becoming Mrs. Lewis by Patty Callahan. 4 was published in 2020, and I read Just Breathe by Cami McGovern. 5 is Non-Human Characters, and I read The Last Olympian by Rick Riordan. 6 was Shop Your Shelf, which I read The Battle of the Labyrinth by Rick Riordan. 8 was Chance of a Lifetime, and I read The Beekeeper's Promise by Fiona Valby. And then I ran out of fingers. So 11 starts a series, and I read Skyward by Brandon Sanderson. 12 contains magic, and I read The Skyweaver by Kristen Ciccarelli. So the prompts I had left were 3, which is A Friend Loves, 7, which is a graphic novel, 9 was set in Vegas, and 10 was a BookTube or Bookstagram recommendation. So overall, I did pretty well. The Friend Loves was going to be The Wicked Deep, but I'm not counting that because I didn't finish it. And other than that, I didn't read anything that, well, I guess technically I did read a book that is like a BookTube Bookstagram recommendation. I read Moment of Truth by Casey West, but I'm not going to fill that in. It's totally fine. So that overall, I think, was pretty successful. I had, what was it, 4 prompts left? Yep. 3 if I want to put in that one book for the Roll the Dice Readathon, and 2 prompts left for the Horcruxathon. I also got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 books read for the Fall Into Reading Challenge, so I'm well on my way. I'm doing the 24 prompt board, so 8 books a month for 3 months will be 24. I'm in the middle of 2 books that work towards other prompts, and I can possibly, if I bet The Strongman and the Mermaid will fit in here somewhere. I've also got Moment of Truth and The Sky Weaver, which are like extras that I didn't have because I did pick out what books I wanted to read for each prompt. So like I mentioned at the beginning, I think of this vlog, I've mentioned it at some point, that if I don't get to a prompt any extra books I have, I will just use to mark off those squares if I can. So reading is going really well. I normally don't have books carry over into next month's, but this time I did. Yeah. I don't have as much time for audiobooks as I used to in the past. And the Cider House Rules by John Irving is like a 24, almost 25-hour audiobook. So I was debating yesterday whether or not I was going to DNF it because of the topic that is the main focus at the beginning. But I remembered, and I wasn't sure where this came in, like I remembered liking the movie because at some point Homer goes to an apple orchard and works there, and I always thought like that would be really cool, like the Parent Trap, they live on a vineyard. And I really remember enjoying the story or the movie when Homer was at the apple orchard, and that hadn't happened yet. I have made it through chapter 5, so I'm almost halfway. I'm probably about a third of the way through. And so I was like, well, maybe the focus is going to shift here soon. And then as I was reading or listening to chapter 5, we were introduced to, I think her name's Candy and something with a W. Can I find it really fast? Maybe. Candy and Wally. And they invite Homer to Wally's family's apple orchard because Wally needs help moving some of the trees, and it's only supposed to be for 2 days, but I know it's going to be for longer. That's going to be kind of Homer breaking away from Dr. Larch and the orphanage and stuff, and finally kind of coming into his own. And Homer does not agree with the practice of abortion. So Dr. Larch was kind of training him up so that Homer could go to school to be a doctor. And so Homer's been helping him deliver babies that are going to be essentially abandoned by their mothers and kept at the orphanage until they can get adopted. But the part that he wasn't interested in, that he didn't agree with, was the abortion part. So I think that subject will decline a lot more throughout the rest of the story, which is making me want to continue reading this. I was ready to DNF it yesterday, but I'm going to keep pushing through and see at least through the next chapter if that subject drops off, because it's just not a subject I'm comfortable reading about. So we'll see how this continues to go. We'll hopefully have it done by tomorrow, but we'll see. I've got about like 15 and a half hours left. And if I'm listening to it on 2 times speed, that's really 7.5 hours, like just under 8 hours. So I should be able to get a good chunk done, and I should be able to get it done by tomorrow, and then I can move on to other things. I haven't picked up The Wicked Deep in a couple days because I've been working on The Strong Man and the Mermaid, which is my buddy read with my friend Rainy at the channel Rainy Day Reads. And I've read 300 pages of it, which I was really, really surprised by. When I read on my Kindle, I keep it on, like in the bottom left-hand corner, I keep it on time left in the chapter. So I know how long a chapter is, because I'm usually one of those people, before I start a chapter, I'll count how many pages to see if I can make it through the chapter or not. So I was really surprised to see that I was already 300 pages in. So I've got 275 pages left. I'm at like 54% or something like that. And I'm really enjoying this story. I think I'm enjoying it a lot more than After the Fog, which is the first book in the Denora collection. And I think it's just because After the Fog is very like real and rough and raw. It's an adult book with adult struggles and things like that, whereas The Strong Man and the Mermaid follows a 14-year-old girl, and I don't know how old Lucas is. I think he might be like 16 to 19, but I'm not 100% sure. And so it's just a lot easier to read. Like, you still get a lot about the town of Denora and what it was like in the 1910s, and what it was like for like immigrant families and things like that. So I'm really enjoying that. But right now we know that Mary and Lucas end up married because they have a son who becomes a famous baseball player. But right now Mary is pining for this guy named Samuel, who is from an Irish family, and he could give her the lemony, like fresh house life that's a lot more free of the dust and metal from the mills, and just kind of give her an easy life. So she's hung up on him. Also, her big thing is she's really tall, and she wants a guy that's taller than her, and there's only like 2 in the town around her age that are taller than her. And one of them comes from a Polish family whose family owns a hardware store that her mom's trying to set her up with. Not a Polish family, a Czech family. And she wants something different for herself. And then Lucas, who came over from Poland and is working in the steel mills, has been set up by his sponsor family with this woman named Annetta, who was left at the altar. And they promised her family that they would make a good match for Annetta if they sent her over to America. So Lucas, I don't really know how to pronounce it. It's not Lucas, but he is, you know, his dream is to have the American dream. He wants a home, he wants a family, he wants the white picket fence. He's realizing that, you know, maybe he's not going to get the white picket fence, but if he works hard, he can still provide that home for a wife and have children and things like that. And so that's what he really wants. He doesn't necessarily like being paired up with Annetta, but he's like, you know, we'll just have time together, and we'll grow to love each other and things like that. But Annetta treats him really horribly, so I'm just waiting for her to finally like break things off, or for him to break things off. I would kind of like if he broke things off, and for him and Mary to just fall in love, because that's what I want from this story, and that's what I know is going to happen with this story. I just don't know when it's going to happen, and I don't like hearing about Mary's sloppy kisses and bruised feet because Samuel kisses her like a dog and doesn't know how to dance and constantly steps on her. And Annetta is like really hot and cold with Lucas, so like one minute she'll be snuggling into him and like crying and, you know, bearing her heart to him, and the next minute she is criticizing him because he's not learning English fast enough, or he picked up an extra shift and she had planned for him to do something and he didn't make it, or what have you. So we'll see how that goes. I think I'm not going to be reading any more of The Strongman and the Mermaid tonight so that Rainy can catch up. And so I'm going to get back into The Wicked Deep because I'm really enjoying that story as well. But that's been a long little update, and I don't think I have anything else to tell you. So once I get further in some more books, I will definitely keep you posted. It is time to wrap up this vlog. I've been kind of busy today running around doing errands. I returned some flooring to Costco. We had 4 extra boxes, and at 40 bucks a piece, that's a good chunk of change to get back and clear up some space in the garage. I also, from the giant baby blanket I showed you that I knitted, I had 3 extra skeins of yarn that I didn't need, and at 10 bucks a piece, that was some extra change to get back. And then I went and saw my friend who had her baby back in April, and dropped off the baby blanket, and they absolutely loved it, which is perfect. I hope they can get so much use out of it. And we just hung out and visited. I got to see her daughters, who I met when they were 6 and 4, and now one of them turns 16 on Thursday, and I think the other one just turned 15 back in September. So it was really good to see the girls again and just catch up and connect, because it's been a while since my friend and I have seen each other. I do this a lot with friends. Like, I don't hang out with people very often, and I've got the kinds of friends where that's okay, and when we see each other we just pick up right back where we left off, and like no time has passed in between us, and like it doesn't lessen our friendship or anything like that. Just, we're adults and very busy, so there's some time that goes in between us seeing each other, and we're all homebodies too, and especially during this time. So as far as reading, on my driving around errands, I finished The Cider House Rules by John Irving. I'm getting a 2-star rating. If you can guess, it's because of the subject matter. It lessened a little bit throughout the last half of the book, but it was still a kind of prevalent talking point. So that kind of brought it down for me quite a bit, just because it's a subject I don't agree with. And I don't need to say any more about that, because I know that's a very touchy subject that a lot of people have differing feelings than I do. So I did enjoy, though, when Wilbur got to the Ocean View, is what the name of the apple orchard was, and just kind of him growing up. We kind of follow him from the time he gets there, and then kind of move forward 15 years. So we get to grow up with him a little bit, and the things that happen, and his relationships that he forms, and everything like that. So I enjoyed the ending a lot more, obviously, than the beginning, and it'll be really interesting to revisit this in the movie format, just to see what they kept in the movie, because I told you, what the main thing that I recall is Homer being at the apple orchard, and I remember that just being so cool. So that'll be interesting to see how closely the movie follows the book, now that I'm actually able to understand the subject matter a lot better. I am going to be unhauling this book, though. It's not a book that I care to reread, so maybe someone else will enjoy it. I did, in one of the Facebook groups I'm in, I think it was the Harry Potter and the Order of the Planners Facebook group, Every Wednesday they post, what are you reading? And I mentioned that I was reading this, and someone commented that this was one of her favorite books because she was adopted when she was younger, and so she could really identify with Homer and things like that. So I'm hoping that this ends up in someone else's hands who can get a better appreciation for the subject matter and everything like that. That it's just not for me. I have the dust jacket here of The Wicked Deep. I have about 120 pages left, so I should have that done here soon. And then I want to say I'm something around like 60 to 65% of the way through The Strongman and the Mermaid. So that's still going well. It's just going really slowly, and that's totally fine. Yesterday, my mom and I ran around. You'll have seen clips of a green caterpillar that is a lunar moth. I think that's what it is. Skylar washed my car yesterday, and he found just this bright green caterpillar in the grass, and we looked it up, and it's a lunar moth, and I've never seen one before, so I thought it was pretty cool. And I moved him out of the way because he was in a spot that he could have been stepped on easily. So you saw me carrying him over to the bush where I let a frog go at one point. That's, I guess, my bush where I rescue the critters. So I put him there, and I didn't check today to see if he was still there, but I hope he's not been eaten by anything, not been squashed by anything. But my mom and I, the whole point of this was to tell you what my mom and I were doing yesterday. I had mentioned that I wanted to maybe do like a couple skeleton to make my porch a little spooky, but I decided that I didn't want to store like the plastic bones or anything, and that a scarecrow would be better because I could use it for October and November. I could go to thrift stores and get like overalls and worn clothes and things like that, and then the clothing would pack down a lot smaller than the bones would for storage. So my mom and I ran around to a couple different thrift stores and got pieces. We got completed pieces for I'm gonna do a boy and a girl scarecrow, like a little old couple, and I'm gonna assemble those over the next week, and when I get them assembled I'll definitely share that with you. And we also bought a hay bale, well, a straw bale, which Skylar wasn't too happy about, but that's okay. But we also went to my favorite used bookstore because Eric and I are going to be buddy reading The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware together. So I was trying to see if I could find it locally, and I wasn't able to, but I did find another Ruth Ware book that I've been interested in, which is The Death of Mrs. Westaway. So, and it was in really good condition, so I will maybe pick this up. I don't know if I'll pick this up this year. If not, it'll be a pick for next year, or maybe in the winter time when I'm ready for something different from fantasy, I'll pick that up. But my mom also was given a Karen Slaughter book called Blindsided, and my mom doesn't read at all. And she cleans houses, so this was given to her. There's a Joann's receipt. Oh, that might be my Joann's receipt. It's coupons. We went to Joann's too. My mom was given to this by one of her clients, and I was like, oh, Karen Slaughter, she writes some pretty like twisted stuff. So I don't know, I might give this a try. I might be a little too scared of it. We'll see. It's like horribly bent. So I've been trying to get the spine back in place, but it's not going. And it's super narrow. I don't know if this is typical, if this is like a mass market paperback thriller, or if that's just typical of thrillers, but we'll see if I give that a shot. I might be too scared. But that's pretty much it for the week. I'm looking forward to going into next week and seeing what it has in store, finishing up some books that I've got ongoing, and starting new ones. I did, after I finished the Cider House Rules on my drive, I started listening to Strange Practice by, one second. The author is, I don't want to, please don't start. Strange Practice by Vivian Shaw. And I thought this was a young adult book, but the main character I think is in her 40s. So I'm not too sure about that. and what's going on, but it's gonna be fun, I think. It's got like werewolves and vampires. It follows, I don't remember her name, but her last name is Van Helsing. So she's got some relation to the Van Helsing and all the supernatural critters and things. So it'll be really interesting to see where that goes, and I think a lot of fun. But that is it for this week. I would love to know, as always, what you got up to, what you read, all those fun things. If the weather is turning and the leaves are changing colors for you, they're starting to change colors a lot more here. We're getting lots of rainy days, so lots of cozy, cuddly up days here coming up. And I just love to know what it's like where you are and what you've been up to. So if you feel so inclined, please do let me know down in the comments below, and I will chat with you there until my next video. Bye.